Guys, so what I'm going to do now is do a recap over my week 4 predictions and see what went right and what went wrong. Overall, on quarterbacks, I got a 66% correct rating. A few things I missed on: Andy Dalton. Minkah Fitzpatrick really had an effect on the Pittsburgh defense. They allowed the front seven to really put pressure on him. He got sacked 7 times, and he really didn't have a chance to do anything, about 200 yards and a pick. Another one I missed on: Case Keenum. He got hurt early. I think that might have just been an excuse to put in Dwayne Haskins, but either way, if you started Case Keenum, I really missed on that one. Daniel Jones, he did all right, but early in the game, or I mean, rather late in the game, they started trying things, and he ended up throwing a pick after the game was out of reach. I think they were just trying to get him some good reps with different situations. Another quarterback I missed on: Carson Wentz. If I told you to sit him, he did relatively well, only for the fact that he had a few touchdowns that saved his game. Otherwise, he only had like 160 yards, and not a very high completion percentage. Very short passes. He had a really good running game, and once he got into that red zone, he had I believe it was three like 6-yard touchdown passes. Running backs, I botched every single bust running back. I chose Leonard Fournette, Nick Chubb, Kerryon Johnson, Todd Gurley, and James Conner. I said I didn't think they were going to do well, and I was wrong on every single one of that. Reading running back defenses is something that I need to get better at. Running backs to start: Marlon Mack. I botched that one too. I did not think that Oakland would be able to score as well as they did, and that forced Indianapolis to start passing the ball a lot. Rex Burkhead, he was out early in the game. He had like one target. He only saw like 6 snaps, I think. Chris Thompson, he did really well for a flex. Same thing with Sean McCoy. Joe Mixon did pretty average for a flex player, and Dalvin Cook, I said to start him. Overall running backs, I got a 45% correct rating. Wide receivers, I did really well on. I said start Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp. I said start Chris Godwin. All those guys really balled out. I said start Odell. I missed on that one. And Juju Smith-Schuster. You could really tell that Cincinnati was focusing a lot of their defense to make sure that Juju Smith-Schuster didn't beat them, and I think that's why James Conner and a couple of the other backup and second string wide receivers really took care of Cincinnati this week. And then all my bust wide receivers did end up busting, except for the possibility of Mike Evans. Throughout the game, Mike Evans had a poor performance. There was one busted play that the Rams missed on coverage, and Mike Evans ended up ripping off like a 60-yard touchdown. Other than that, he would have only had like 5 catches and 40 yards, but instead he ended the game with like 90 yards and a touchdown. So, besides from that one situation, I think, Mike Evans ended up, having a poor performance, but he still had a high fantasy value this week. Otherwise, Marquise Brown, Sammy Watkins, Julian Edelman, and Amari Cooper all had very lackluster games. Tight ends, I did really well with 86% correct. I said start Mark Andrews, Austin Hooper, TJ Hawkinson, and Will Dissly. All of those guys ended up balling out. They got 10 points or more, which, from the tight end position so far this year in a points per reception league has been pretty well. And then I said not to start Zach Ertz. I missed that one. I didn't realize that Alshon Jeffrey was going to be playing. I was under the impression he was going to be out, and so that really shifted the coverage in a different direction a lot. And so Zach Ertz had more opportunities than I thought. But otherwise, Jared Cook, he didn't play very well, and then Vance McDonald, he was out. So it's kind of a victory for me, kind of not, because he didn't play anyway. And then defenses, I absolutely did horrible on the defenses. I got 30% of them right. I said start Indy. I really need to start evaluating the Oakland Raiders differently. I don't understand John Gruden and his system yet. That's something I'm going to have to pay more attention to. Baltimore and Green Bay, they were both really disappointing. Green Bay, they have a very, very disappointing run defense for how athletic their linebackers and safeties are. That's something to look forward to in future matchups. Going next week at Dallas, and then week 6, I believe, at home against Detroit, I believe, is their next game. look for Ezekiel Elliott to carry on and Kerryon Johnson to have big games. If they can figure out their run defense in one of those two, then Green Bay could really end up having one of the best defenses so far. I also said be careful about starting Dallas because I thought that New Orleans was going to have a offensive game. Still, Teddy Bridgewater has yet to impress me. And Dallas, they did have a good defensive game. So did Carolina. I missed on those. But Atlanta, however, I said don't start them. I thought Tennessee was going to pretty much show them up. And they did. Atlanta only had like 1 point, I think. So 30% on the defenses, 86 on the tight ends, 73 on the wide receivers, 45 on the running backs, 66 on the quarterbacks, for 62% correct overall. I'm going to be looking to improve that definitely in my next set of videos for week 5 in 5 Minute Fantasy.